I would like to think that paradise is open to Merlin. Good boy.
Today, the Pope's man in Victoria, a dog lover, says the scriptures are open to interpretation.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a few people up north that won't be wanting the mosquitoes to go to heaven or the black flies. However, you know, we don't know the answer to the question perfectly, but we do know that everything that's created, God said was very good.
I don't like flies. Get out of here, fly. Never been a big fan of flies. You don't mind my bringing that up, do you?
All right, so there's a joke that I've told at different points in my life, and kind of goes like this. There are three guys. They're on a deserted island, and they come across a bottle, and they open it, and a genie pops out, and he says, "I'll give each one of you one wish." And the first guy says, "Well, I've been stuck on this deserted island with these two other guys. I miss my wife, my family, send me back home." Poof, he's gone. Second guy, same thing. "I miss the hustle and the bustle of the big city. I'm tired of being here. There's nothing to do. Just stuck with the same people day after day." Poof, he's gone. So the third guy looks around and he takes a second and he says, "I'm kind of lonely now. I wish I had my friends back." Hey, I'm Rob, and this is kind of a different video from what I normally do, but this is sort of a mental exercise that I do when I'm trying to fall asleep, or just, I don't know, some sort of argument that I have with myself just to keep my brain occupied. And the point being of that joke that, as long as you have more than one person who is involved in any decision, there are always going to be competing desires. And that's why I think that, possibly, and who knows, we'll find out someday, that there really could not be a heaven as we envision it because of dogs. And dogs are the example I use in this little mental exercise. It has nothing to do with the joke about the island, but it does kind of. Anyway, the point being that, some people think when you die, you're going to go up to heaven and your dogs will all be waiting there for you. Well, what if you're a married couple, and this, reverts back to the island joke. What if you're a married couple and you love dogs and your wife, didn't really care for your dogs? She could take them or leave them. Now, everybody's idea of heaven is going to be different. So, can you be up in heaven with your wife, who of course you want to be with, and your dogs, but your wife is not a fan of dogs? How is this ever going to work practically? Now, some people I'm sure would say, well, heaven is not, how we would imagine it, and it doesn't replicate how, the way things are on earth or whatever. I'll stop right here and say that, first of all, I'm not even Christian, I'm Jewish. Jewish people really do not have much of a concept of the afterlife. We call it Olam Haba, which means the world to come. And we don't really dwell on it. Like, you just are supposed to do good things on this earth while you're here, and then the world to come will happen after. I don't think we really particularly believe in a hell or even a heaven. Maybe it's just whatever comes next. And I feel like we don't particularly dwell on it. I am not a theologian. I'm not an expert. Probably a lot of these things I'm saying are, not correct according to scripture or learned people in these areas. But anyway, I just always think about the dogs. It's like, first of all, you're going to have 5, 6, or more dogs in your life. You want all those dogs to be up there with you in heaven? What if the dogs don't like each other? Now, I guess it's heaven, so they would never have to poop or do anything bad or bite anybody, and they would just be there at your feet all the time. All 7 or 8 of them, you'd be tripping on them, constantly. Maybe you just want some of your dogs, but not that other dog who wasn't that great of a dog, And if this is the case, and you get to decide when you're in heaven what you like, what you don't like, what should be here, what shouldn't, then you're like a god yourself. So is that what it is? We're all going to become our own gods of our own heaven, and we're going to lord over the place and decide, well, I liked, Jane, but I didn't, like her husband, so Jane can be in my heaven, but her husband can stay out. I mean, it's very strange to think about, how this would work. Who would be in your heaven? Maybe there are 2 or 3 dozen people in your life you really like. And okay, all of them are going to be in your heaven, except maybe some of them didn't like you. So now they're stuck in your heaven, or some fake version of them is stuck in your heaven, a version that likes you when they really didn't like you on the earth. I mean, how is that heaven when people are not behaving in the natural ways that they want to behave? You're just like a puppet master controlling what everyone says and does. I don't like when my wife wore that black dress, so she's never going to wear the black dress in heaven. But she loves that black dress, so then she doesn't get to wear it. Then she's some version of herself who doesn't like the black dress in heaven, but on earth that was her favorite. Like, you know, it's all very suspect to me. And, you know, wouldn't we all want to be in heaven with, let's say, Prince or Michael Jackson? And they could give us a private concert every night. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, what if, let's say, and we're just guessing here, Prince made it to heaven and Michael Jackson, well, he didn't. So, or the other way around. We don't know. But is Prince just not going to be available to us in heaven if he's not in heaven himself? No, you can't listen to Prince music, or you can't interact with Prince because he's not here. He's somewhere else. Like, how would this work? There'd be a version of Prince who's in heaven, but, you know, the real one's actually in hell. Again, these things are all just things that just keep your mind spinning around. At night, there was a great TV show that I think about called Forever. It was only one season. It was Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen from SNL. And this was basically the story, and maybe that's what got me thinking about it, that Fred dies in like a skiing accident or something, goes to heaven, she's alone, and she's actually starting to enjoy her life. She hated her routine. It was boring. He wanted to just sit around and do the same things and cook the same meals, and she's actually starting to enjoy her life. And then she dies, and she ends up in heaven with him, and he's of course thrilled to be reunited with her, but she's like not that happy to be with him. So, and that's the same thing with dogs, you know. Let's say you love dogs, and the dogs are running around with you in heaven, but everyone else in heaven, you know, or many other people that, you know, you have decided that are going to be in your own heaven, they're not so keen on the dogs either. So, you know, now they have to come over your house, but they have to see the dogs, and they don't like the dogs. Like, how does any of this work? You could just go around and around and around and around with this. But, all right, I'll make this video kind of short for one of my videos. I do tend to go on, but just something to think about. You know, I've seen in the past that different priests and things have said, no, you know, the animals don't go to heaven with you. They go to another place or something or other, or, you know, which ones would go to heaven, like that clip I had in the beginning of this video. Did the mosquitoes who lived a good life, did they go to heaven? Now they're up there with you and you don't want them up there. And so, you know, again, it's just this circular situation that, you know, we're not going to ever be able to resolve in this earthly life. But if you think about it, how would heaven actually work unless it was your own individual version of heaven, where whatever happened in that individual version of heaven was exactly what you wanted, and none of the bad things happened, and it never rained, and every day I could wake up and go to the Lamborghini dealer and buy a new Lamborghini and put it in this giant garage? You get bored of that too after, you know, a year or something or other. If there was never any struggle or anything that made you realize the value of life, it's going to be so boring. You're going to be bored to death with all your Lamborghinis and all your Playboy models and everything else. So what is it? Ultimately, we don't know. We're never going to know. But to actually think about it, unless your heaven is to be by yourself, alone for eternity with no other people, if there are any other people involved, you know, there's going to be competing, you know, interests and desires and things that are going to make it less than a heavenly experience. All right. I welcome your thoughts on this interesting subject and on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Atlanta, where the weather is finally nice in October of 2024. I wish you farewell.